Attraction doesn't stop at what you can see. Sometimes it shows up in something even more subtle, her voice. The way she speaks to you, most people assume a person's voice stays consistent, but it doesn't. It shifts depending on emotion, comfort, and connection. And when a woman is attracted to you, her voice often changes in ways that are almost impossible to fake. Because they're not conscious choices, they're emotional responses. It might become softer, as if there's less tension in her words. Slower, as if she's not in a rush to end the conversation. Warmer, as if there's something personal layered beneath what she's saying. You might notice that when she talks to you, her tone carries a kind of calm intimacy, even if you're in a busy or public place. And here's something subtle that most men overlook. Pay attention to contrast. Listen to how she speaks to other people around her, then notice how she speaks to you. If there's a difference, if there's more attention, more softness, more presence in her voice when she's with you, that difference is not random. Now, I want you to think about a moment in your own life. Have you ever been in a conversation where nothing extraordinary was being said, but the feeling of the conversation was different? It felt warmer, easier, almost like time slowed down a little. That feeling didn't come from the words, it came from the emotional tone underneath them. And that's exactly what you need to start paying attention to, because attraction often hides in the feeling, not the language. And here's where this becomes powerful. When you recognize that shift in her voice, you don't need to analyze it or question it. You simply meet it. You slow down your own pace. You respond with the same calm, grounded energy. You allow the conversation to breathe instead of rushing it. Because when two people fall into that rhythm together, something deeper starts to form without either of them forcing it. And very often, this warmth in her voice connects directly to another signal that's even easier to notice, but just as easy to misunderstand: her laughter. Now, on the surface, laughter seems simple. Someone says something funny and the other person laughs. But psychologically, laughter goes much deeper than humor. It's a signal of comfort, safety, and emotional openness. When a woman is attracted to you, something interesting begins to happen. She starts to laugh more around you, not necessarily because everything you say is hilarious, but because she feels good in your presence. Even your average comments can get a warmer, more enthusiastic reaction. She smiles more, she reacts more, she stays engaged in a playful way that feels natural instead of forced. You might notice that she doesn't just laugh and move on, she lingers in that moment, she keeps the playful energy alive. Maybe she lightly teases you. Maybe she repeats something you said in a joking way. Maybe she leans slightly closer as she laughs, as if the moment is pulling her in without her even realizing it. These are not random reactions, they're emotional signals. But here's a mistake that quietly destroys these moments. A man senses that something is happening, that the energy has shifted. He becomes serious, he starts overthinking. He tries to say something impressive instead of something real, and just like that, the natural rhythm disappears. So let me ask you something. The next time you notice a woman laughing easily around you, what will you do? Will you try to control the moment, or will you allow it to unfold? Because the strongest connections don't come from trying to be perfect. They come from being present. Now, there's another signal that often appears alongside laughter, something even more subtle, almost invisible if you're not looking for it. It's a small, unconscious behavior that many women display when they become more aware of your presence. And it often involves something as simple as her hair. You might see her tuck it behind her ear while talking to you. You might notice her lightly twirling a strand between her fingers while listening. Sometimes she smooths it down, adjusts it, or moves it away from her face. These gestures are so common that they're often dismissed instantly. But psychologically, they reveal something important. When a woman feels drawn to someone, her awareness shifts inward. She becomes slightly more conscious of how she looks, how she presents herself. Not in an obvious or dramatic way, but in small, almost automatic adjustments. And hair becomes a natural outlet for that awareness because it's closely tied to femininity, self-expression, and identity. But here's where you need to be careful. One gesture doesn't mean anything by itself. Context always matters. If she touches her hair once, it could be habit, it could be coincidence, but if you notice it happening repeatedly, especially in combination with other signals like eye contact, smiling, or leaning closer, then it becomes part of a pattern. And attraction is always about patterns, not isolated moments, but repeated behaviors that align with each other. You might see her make eye contact with you, smile, tuck her hair behind her ear, then laugh at something you say. A few minutes later, it happens again. That repetition is what makes it meaningful. Now think about this for a second. How often have you noticed one small behavior and dismissed it without realizing it was part of something bigger? This is where awareness changes everything. When you start connecting the dots instead of looking at moments in isolation, the entire interaction becomes clearer. And now we come to one of the most important signals, one that doesn't rely on body language at all, but often reveals more than anything else. Her curiosity, the questions she asks you. Because when a woman is genuinely attracted to you, she doesn't just want to experience the moment, she wants to understand you. You'll notice the conversation begins to shift. It moves beyond surface level topics. Instead of staying in safe, predictable territory, she starts asking questions that reveal who you are. She might ask about your work, but not just what you do, what you enjoy about it. She might ask about your hobbies, your interests, your goals. She becomes curious about how you think, what you value, what your life looks like beyond the surface. And sometimes this curiosity goes even deeper. She might ask about your past experiences, your relationships, what you've learned from them, what you're looking for moving forward. These are not casual questions, they're emotional investments. Because here's the truth most men don't realize. People don't invest that kind of curiosity into someone they feel neutral about. Curiosity takes energy, it takes attention, and when someone gives you that, it means something. But this is also where many men unknowingly close the door. They respond with short answers. They brush the questions off. They treat them as small talk when they're actually invitations to build something deeper. So let me ask you directly, when someone shows genuine curiosity about your life, how do you respond? Do you open up or do you hold back? Because attraction doesn't grow in shallow conversations. It grows in moments where two people begin to understand each other beyond the surface. The most powerful thing you can do in these moments is simple. Be real, share something meaningful, not everything, not all at once, but enough to create depth. And then return that curiosity, ask her about her experiences, her thoughts, her perspective. Because when curiosity flows both ways, the conversation transforms into something that feels alive. And here's something subtle but important. When a woman is truly interested, she doesn't just ask questions, she listens, she remembers details. She follows up on things you mentioned earlier. She circles back to topics because she wants to hear more. That level of attention is rare and it's never accidental. So, the next time you're in a conversation, don't just listen to the words, pay attention to the intention behind them. Is she trying to understand you or just pass the time? Because that difference changes everything. And as all of these signals begin to come together, the voice, the laughter, the small gestures, the curiosity, you start to see something clearly. Attraction isn't hidden, it's just subtle. And once you train yourself to notice it, you stop missing the moments that used to pass you by.
And as your awareness sharpens, you begin to notice something almost surprising. The body reveals truth in places most people never think to look. One of those places is so simple, so easy to overlook, that once you see it, you'll never unsee it again. Her feet. It might sound strange at first, but stay with me here, because this is one of the most honest signals the human body gives. The direction of a woman's feet often reveals where her attention, and more importantly, her interest, truly lies. You see, while facial expressions can be controlled and words can be chosen carefully, the feet are governed by a much more primitive part of the brain. They respond instinctively, not socially. So if you're in a conversation with her and her body is slightly turned away, but her feet are angled toward you, that's not coincidence. That's intention without awareness. Her body is saying, this is where I want to be. And it becomes even more telling when you notice a shift. Maybe at the beginning of your interaction, her feet are pointed elsewhere, toward the exit, toward the room, toward distraction. But as the conversation deepens, as comfort builds, they slowly turn toward you. That gradual movement is not just physical, it's emotional, it's psychological, it's attraction building in real time. I remember a story from one of my viewers who shared something fascinating. He said he was at a small gathering, speaking with a woman who seemed engaged, but he wasn't sure if it was genuine. Then he noticed her feet. At first, they were angled toward the group, but as they continued talking, her feet slowly shifted, aligning directly with him. He didn't change the topic. He didn't try to impress her. He simply stayed present. And by the end of the evening, she was the one extending the conversation. That's the power of noticing without forcing. Now let's move into something even more intimate, something that happens on a biological level and is almost impossible to fake for long. Her eyes, specifically blinking patterns and pupil dilation. When a woman is around someone she feels attracted to, her body activates what we call the sympathetic nervous system. This is the same system responsible for excitement, anticipation, and yes, arousal. And one of the subtle side effects of this activation is a change in her blinking rhythm. It may become slightly faster, a bit uneven, almost as if her body is trying to keep up with a heightened internal state. But even more telling than that are her pupils. When we feel drawn to someone, when there is genuine interest or attraction, our pupils naturally dilate. This allows more light in, but more importantly, it's a nonverbal signal of engagement and desire. Now, I want to be very clear here. You're not meant to stare into someone's eyes trying to analyze them like a scientist. That would create discomfort and break the natural flow. But when you're close enough, when the moment feels relaxed, when there's laughter, eye contact, and ease, these are the moments where you may begin to notice something different. A softness in her gaze, a depth, a lingering eye contact that lasts just a second longer than usual. And that second longer is where meaning lives. Have you ever locked eyes with someone and for just a brief moment everything else seemed to fade? That's not imagination. That's chemistry. And when her body is responding in this way, it's often a reflection of that same internal experience. Now let's talk about something you can hear rather than see, her voice. A woman's voice can shift in very subtle ways when she's around someone she feels physically attracted to. It may become softer, warmer, slightly more melodic. There may be a gentle breathiness that wasn't there before. And often there's a change in rhythm. She might slow down her speech, add small pauses, or linger just a little longer on certain words. And here's something particularly interesting. Pay attention to how she says your name. When attraction is present, there's often a softness, a slight emphasis, almost like she's savoring the sound of it. It's not exaggerated, it's not obvious, but it's there. I once had a conversation with a woman in her late 50s who described this perfectly. She said, "When I'm around someone I'm attracted to, I don't even realize it, but my voice changes. It feels gentler." That's the key word, gentler, because attraction often softens us. It brings down our guard. It allows a different side of us to emerge. And if she's teasing you, even lightly, that's another layer. Playfulness is often a gateway to flirtation. It creates a safe space where attraction can exist without being directly stated. A small joke, a playful comment, a light tease, these are not random. They are signals wrapped in comfort. Now, as you begin to observe these cues, the feet, the eyes, the voice, you might start to notice something even deeper, a sense of synchronization. This is where mirroring comes into play. Mirroring is one of the most fascinating aspects of human connection. It happens when two people begin to subconsciously align their movements, gestures, and even rhythms. If you take a sip of your drink and she does the same shortly after, if you lean slightly forward and she mirrors that posture, if you touch your face and she follows, this is not coincidence. This is her nervous system aligning with yours. And while mirroring can happen in many types of interactions, they are signals wrapped in comfort. Now, as you begin to observe these cues, the feet, the eyes, the voice, not just connection, but attraction. Think of it like a dance that neither of you consciously choreographed. It just happens. And here's where I want to gently guide you into something important. When you start noticing these signs, the goal is not to react with pressure or expectation. The goal is to remain grounded, present, aware. Because the moment you try to force something, the dynamic changes. Attraction thrives in space, in subtlety, in mutual energy. It doesn't respond well to urgency or overanalysis. So instead of thinking, she's showing these signs, what do I do next? Shift your mindset to, she's showing these signs, let me stay present and allow this to unfold naturally. That shift alone can transform your entire experience. And if this is resonating with you, if you're starting to see how much is communicated without words, I'd love for you to share your thoughts below. Have you ever noticed any of these signs before, or perhaps missed them and realized later? Your experiences might help someone else see what they've been overlooking. Because the truth is, attraction is rarely a single signal. It's a pattern, a collection of small, consistent cues that, when seen together, tell a much bigger story. And in the next moments, we're going to bring all of this together in a way that changes how you read that story entirely. Not just what she's doing, but what it all means when it happens at once. When you begin to see these signals not as isolated moments, but as a pattern, something shifts inside you. You stop chasing clarity through words and you start understanding energy through behavior. And this is where most men either become deeply attractive or unknowingly push attraction away. Because here's the truth that no one really explains clearly. Recognizing attraction is only half the equation. The other half is how you respond to it. Let's imagine a moment together. You're sitting across from her. She's relaxed. She's adjusted her hair twice since you arrived. At some point, she moved her phone out of the space between you. Her body is slightly leaning in. Her voice has softened. There's a warmth in her tone that wasn't there in the beginning. You notice her feet angled toward you, and every now and then, your movements seem to echo in hers. Now pause. What would most people do in that moment? Some men panic internally. They overthink. Is this real? Am I imagining it? What if I misread this? And that doubt creates hesitation. Others go in the opposite direction. They rush, they try to escalate too quickly, thinking they need to act before the moment is gone. But both reactions miss something essential. Attraction is not a moment you capture, it's a space you hold. When a woman is showing you these signs, she's not asking you to prove something. She's not testing you to see how fast you can move. What she's responding to is how you make her feel in that space, and this is where your presence becomes everything. Presence is not about saying the perfect line. It's not about impressing her or performing. It's about being fully there, grounded, attentive, calm in your energy. Because when you're truly present, you create emotional safety. And emotional safety is what allows attraction to deepen. I want to share a story with you that illustrates this beautifully. A man once told me about a date he had after years of being out of the dating world. He said he noticed many of these signs. She was engaged, soft in her tone, leaning in, even mirroring him at times. But instead of trying to impress her, he made a conscious decision to slow down. He listened more, he held eye contact just a little longer. He allowed pauses in the conversation without rushing to fill them. And at one point she looked at him and said something very simple, yet very revealing. She said, "I feel really comfortable with you." Now on the surface, that might sound like something friendly, but in the context of everything else, the connection, it meant much more. Comfort, in this sense, was not the absence of attraction, it was the foundation of it. This is something many people misunderstand. They assume that attraction has to feel intense or dramatic, but often the most genuine form of attraction feels calm, grounded, and quietly powerful. So, when you notice these signals, your role is not to disrupt that energy, it's to match it. If she's leaning in slightly, you don't need to lean in dramatically. just meet her halfway. If her voice softens, you don't need to mimic it exactly, but you can slow your tone, bring warmth into your words. If she holds eye contact, allow yourself to stay there for a moment longer without breaking it out of nervousness. This is what we call emotional attunement. It's the ability to sense what's happening between you and respond in a way that aligns with it. And here's something very important. Women are incredibly sensitive to this, not consciously but emotionally. They feel when a man is attuned, and they feel when he's disconnected. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person was physically there but mentally somewhere else? You can feel that distance immediately. The same applies in moments of attraction. If your mind is racing, if you're analyzing every signal, if you're thinking about what to do next instead of being present, she will feel that shift. And often that's when the subtle cues begin to fade. So the real skill here is not just observation, it's regulation. Can you stay grounded when you sense attraction? Can you remain calm instead of reactive? Can you allow the moment to breathe instead of trying to control it? This is where confidence truly shows, not in bold statements, but in your ability to stay steady. Now let's take this even deeper, because there's another layer to all of this that most people never consider: timing. Attraction has a rhythm. It builds, it pauses, it expands, it contracts. And when you're tuned into that rhythm, you stop forcing interactions and start flowing with them. For example, there may be a moment where the conversation naturally slows down. There's a pause, eye contact lingers. This is what we call a charged pause. It's filled with unspoken awareness, and what you do in that moment matters. If you rush to fill it with words, you break the tension. But if you hold that space, if you allow the silence to exist for just a second longer, maintaining a calm presence, something very powerful can happen. She may smile, she may look at you in a way that feels different. The connection deepens without a single word being spoken. These are the moments where attraction quietly reveals itself, and I want you to reflect on this. How often have you interrupted these moments without realizing it? How often have you talked your way out of something that didn't need words? Now, let's bring in something practical. I want you to focus on 3 internal anchors. The first is your breath. When you notice signs of attraction, your body may naturally become a bit more alert. Your breathing might become shallow. By consciously slowing your breath, you send a signal to your nervous system that you're safe, that you're in control, and that calmness becomes visible in your presence. The second is your pace. Slow down your movement slightly, not in an exaggerated way, but enough to create a sense of ease. When you move with intention, it communicates confidence. And the third is your attention. Keep it on her, on the moment, on the interaction as it unfolds. Not on your thoughts or doubts, but on what's actually happening. These are incredibly powerful when practiced consistently. And if you're finding value in this, take a moment to like the video. It helps more than you realize. It allows this kind of content to reach others who may need it, because what we're really talking about here is not just attraction, we're talking about connection. Real, human, emotionally intelligent connection. The kind that doesn't rely on guesswork, but on awareness. Because here's the truth that no one really explains clearly. Recognizing attraction is only half the equation. The other half is how you respond to it. And when you bring all of this together, her gestures, her tone, her posture, the subtle shifts in space, the alignment of her body, the softness in her voice, the rhythm of her presence, you begin to realize something very important. Attraction is not a single signal, it's a pattern. A quiet, consistent pattern that unfolds right in front of you. It's in the way she preens without thinking. The way she removes barriers between you, the way her head tilts and her neck opens, signaling trust, the way her feet orient toward you, even when the rest of her body is still deciding, the way her eyes engage, her pupils subtly responding, her blinking, shifting with her internal state, the way her voice softens, becomes warmer, more inviting, and the way her body begins to mirror yours, almost as if the two of you are moving to the same rhythm without ever discussing it. When these signals appear together, not perfectly, not all at once, but consistently enough, her body is speaking clearly. And here's where everything becomes very simple, even though it may not feel easy at first. Your job is not to force anything. Your job is not to jump ahead, to assume, or to push the moment into something it's not ready to become. Your job is to recognize and respond, because attraction, in its healthiest form, is mutual discovery. It's not about one person leading aggressively and the other following. It's about two people gradually leaning toward each other, emotionally and physically, in a way that feels natural, safe, and unforced. Let me share something that often goes unspoken. Many women, especially as they grow older and more self-aware, become more subtle in how they express attraction, not because they feel less, but because they feel more carefully. They are more attuned to emotional safety, to respect, to the quality of connection rather than just the excitement of it. So instead of obvious signals, you get these refined cues, these small, meaningful shifts that require awareness to notice, and emotional intelligence to understand. And when a man recognizes those signals without misusing them, something powerful happens. Trust deepens. I remember a conversation with a woman in her 60s who said something that stayed with me. She said, "I don't need a man to impress me anymore. I just want him to understand me without me having to explain everything." That sentence holds so much truth because understanding is what creates connection, and connection is what allows attraction to grow. So when you see these signs, instead of thinking, "What move should I make?" try asking yourself, "How can I stay aligned with this moment?" Maybe that means maintaining eye contact just a little longer. Maybe it means allowing a soft smile to form without overthinking it. Maybe it means gently matching her pace, her energy, her openness, and sometimes it simply means saying less. There is a quiet confidence in not needing to fill every silence, in allowing the moment to exist without rushing it forward. That kind of presence is rare, and because it's rare, it's deeply attractive. Now, I want to address something that many struggle with, the fear of misreading signals. What if she's just being friendly? What if I'm interpreting this wrong? These are valid questions, and they come from a place of respect, which is important. But here's the key. Don't rely on one signal. Look for patterns, consistency, repetition. If she shows one sign once, it may mean nothing. If she shows multiple signs consistently, that's when it becomes meaningful. And even then, your response should remain grounded and respectful. Attraction is not permission, it's an invitation to connect. This is where emotional maturity truly shows. You don't need to label the moment. You don't need to define it immediately. You simply need to be present enough to experience it fully. And here's something beautiful that happens when you approach it this way. You remove pressure, not just for her, but for yourself. You're no longer trying to get it right, you're allowing it to unfold. And that shift creates a completely different kind of interaction, one that feels natural, effortless, and real. Let's bring this into a real-life scenario. Imagine you're having a conversation with a woman, and over time, you notice several of these cues. She's leaning in slightly, her voice is softer, she mirrors your gestures, there's a warmth in her presence. The space between you feels closer, even if physically it hasn't changed much. Instead of rushing, you stay with it. You maintain your presence. You allow the conversation to deepen naturally and at the right moment, not forced, not rehearsed. You might say something simple and genuine like, "I'm really enjoying this conversation." That's it. No pressure, no assumption, just honesty. And her response to that will tell you more than any analysis ever could. Because when attraction is mutual, it responds to authenticity. Now, as we come to the end of this conversation, I want you to take a moment and reflect, not just on the signs themselves, but on how you show up in these moments. Are you present or are you distracted? Are you calm or are you rushing? Are you observing or are you overthinking? Because the truth is, the more you develop your awareness, the less you need to rely on guesswork. You begin to trust what you see, what you feel, what you experience in real time. And that trust changes everything. If this spoke to you, take a moment to like the video. And if you value deeper understanding, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, I'd really love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment like this? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might resonate with someone else more than you realize. Because at the end of the day, attraction is not just about signals. It's about connection. It's about presence. It's about two people meeting in a moment and allowing something real to unfold. And when you learn to read that moment, not with urgency, but with awareness, you don't just become more attractive. You become more connected, more grounded, and far more in tune with the kind of relationships that truly matter.